Hey, good evening, mental health warriors. Thank you for tuning in for another great episode. I am super excited because tonight I have a co-host for the first time. I got Pacific Tita, who's agreed to come on. If you don't know her, you know her from Throat Punch Mondays. I co-host with her on that show, and really happy she's able to join us. I'm super excited about the guest we have on today with Amy. I know her. She is Monica's younger sister. If you remember when I did the yoga session, I
Oh
hadn't
yeah.
seen her in years and years and years. And she was quite a little bit younger than I am, maybe 2 years, no, a little bit longer than that. But she has an incredible story, and she's agreed to come on the show and tell her story. With September being Suicide Awareness Month, it's very important that we all look out for each other. We highlight the issues and problems going on with mental health throughout the year, but really in September we kind of really focus on suicide. Anybody who knows my story knows, as a suicide survivor, I really take September to heart. And I think on tonight's show, you're really going to be moved by not only Amy's story of what she went through, but how she was able to recover and go on and done a lot of great, amazing things. And I don't want to talk about it too much because I want her to tell her story. But before I get started, I want to tell everybody to please go out and visit veteranstrashtalk.com. Go out and look at all of our podcast shows out on YouTube. There were a lot of great shows out there. Go out and visit our shop to get a lot of our great t-shirts. I have one on now, and you can also get the Veterans Trash Talk Mental Health Warrior t-shirt. My green screen covers up the green Mustang, but as I always says, on the back of the t-shirt, I had the crisis number put on there, the text home to 741-741. You can talk to a Grease counsel there, or nowadays you can dial 988 is the suicide prevention hotline now, or the emergency number now. So you can call that, or a crisis number. If you're a veteran in crisis, also it's 988, and then press 1, and then you can talk to somebody. So with that, I want to get started. Amy, I would like for you to go ahead and introduce yourself. Oh, wait, before we get started, Lynn, do you have anything that you want to talk about before we get started?
So it is Suicide Awareness Month, and I just want to just reiterate to you guys, and I know you probably said it before, reach out to your friends. Like you might be going through a hard time, but nobody's gonna know that you're in that dark place if you don't have that courage to put that foot forward. And so we do say, reach out to your friends to see how they're doing, but reach out to your friends also only for your own mental health. So that's a big deal. That's all I have to say.
That's something really important, because we all get tied up and busy with our schedules and things, and it's hard to realize sometimes what's going on in your life, and sometimes you forget about others and going on in there. So just please take the time for yourself, and please take the time to reach out to a friend or somebody who might be going through something who you don't know or haven't talked to for a while. So with that, Amy, how are you doing today?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
I was so excited to get you on the show. We talked a little bit after I did yoga, and you have an amazing story. I just saw your big dog in the background. You said you had a mastiffs. So I just saw him walking through in the background. So
They're very needy.
Oh yeah, well, my dog had surgery yesterday. He had 4 teeth taken out, and I didn't know this with boxers, but they have small molars in the back, and they don't chew a lot on the food. I didn't know this. And so they took out the small molars. That's a normal surgery, the doctor said. But also they have a thickening of the gums. I didn't know this. This is a common issue with boxers. And so they have to go in and laser the gums to have them regrow, because they get so thick that bacteria and other stuff gets on them, and then the teeth start rotting and other issues. I didn't know that. So we had to have that done. So his mouth's pretty sore today, but he picked up his ball this morning. And so if you've seen any of my posts about Falco's, he loves his ball. So the fact that he picked up his ball this morning, I knew he was on the road to recovery. So that's all great and good. But Amy, we talked a little bit there when I was at yoga afterwards, and you told me a little bit about your story and your struggles and what you've gone on to do. And I just want to say that it's pretty amazing. I've watched your family on Facebook for years, and I know your whole family because I grew up obviously with you guys. But how you went from a really bad time in your life to where you are now. Can you kind of just take us on that journey so people who are watching can know and kind of understand why I wanted you on the show and why I was really excited for you to come on the show and tell your story?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first off, I had no business probably getting married when I did. I didn't pick someone who was good for me, probably because at the time I had no self-worth and didn't even know who I was. Um, and that I was in that marriage for 13 years. It was very emotionally abusive. And I don't think I ever realized that all the control was with my spouse. Um, and then you add the financial struggles we started to go through. We had a lot of rental properties. And when everything happened in '08, our ability to keep those afloat just became just not possible. Um, every bit of income that I brought in from my insurance business went to try to keep the properties going. And unfortunately, we were in a spot where we couldn't keep our own heat and air on at times. Our propane tank would go empty and we had no way to fill it. So then when you're in a relationship like that and you have all these other factors going on, it just became an unbearable dark black hole is what I felt like I was in. I mean, I remember so vividly laying in the middle of my field one night and just crying and telling God, I can't do this anymore. I quit. I'm done. I've had it. And I wasn't looking for God to help me because I just thought I was so wrong, bad, in such a bad place that I didn't really expect any help. And a couple days later, I it's hard for me to even think about this moment because I sat in my living room with a gun in my mouth, and I didn't want to get upset, but when I go back to that moment, it's so hard to think of being in such a dark place that you truly think that you just want the pain to be taken away from you. And that's where I was. Obviously, I didn't pull the trigger. In fact, I just set the gun down. I started crying again, and I just told God that, you've got to help me. I cannot continue like this. I think it was the next night, I ended up just leaving my home. I told my husband, I just can't continue like this. And as I was walking out the door, and I do think this was God, because for my Bible to be there as I packed a small bag just to get the heck out of there, my Bible was there. And I just went to some no-name motel, the cheapest place I could find, and cried out to God that night and picked up my Bible. And I was just flipping through it. And it's almost like he was just sending me the scripture I needed to save me in that moment, to know that he would help me. Mm-hmm. And literally from that night on, I started slowly but surely seeing a light. And it wasn't, all of a sudden everything got better. In fact, it was very, very slow. I went to counseling for almost 7 years just to start changing the way I functioned in life, to better myself as an individual, and know that there was hope beyond that moment of just the darkest spot I could see myself in.
And I think I know what that's like, Amy, because I've been there, obviously. Had my brother not found me that night, I wouldn't be sitting here. I mean, I wouldn't have survived. So he literally saved my life. But I know that, once I left the hospital and I was on my way back and going back into recovery and counseling, that road is not an easy road. And, sometimes people can get lost on that road just as they lost before they entered that road. And I would just want to tell anybody who, if they're in that spot or if they're going through what we just talked about, please remember that things can get better, and you can go on to do and be great. This is just a moment of your life. And just as God, spoke out to you in your moment, that kind of helped you to move forward. But, as you're going through your 7 years of therapy, what seemed to be the things that would kind of set you back a little bit, if you could remember, if you want to touch on as you were going through the therapy session. Because I know what held me back sometimes, and a lot of it's just being a man and just being bullheaded and lying to my counselor and other things, and having to let that persona, Cliff Bauman being the big tough guy, go away, and being willing to open up and share things that you don't even want to talk about by yourself alone in a room. Now you're going to tell somebody this. To me, that's being very vulnerable, and that took me a long time to get to that point. And I would still say I struggle with that sometimes till even today. Some things I just don't open up about. So I totally understand that.
Yeah, and that's probably been, I think I was raised in a sense, or it, that you just put the lipstick on and pretend everything's okay.
Yeah.
My sister was the only person who even knew that I was struggling, because I could fix myself up and go on to work, and I could fake it, but inside I was literally crumbling. Um, Counseling was so huge in helping me out. And my counselor also made me realize that you can't do this alone. And you can't rely just on coming and seeing me every week. You have got to start opening up to other people and let them in your life, that you are not alone. You're not the only one who's struggling in life. Lots of people are struggling in life. And I just always wanted to portray myself as, I'm good, I've got this, when actually I didn't have anything going right at the time, but I was incapable of really talking to anyone about it. And once I started opening up to a couple of my friends, it's amazing just the release you feel in being able to share something with another human being, and then have that connection from them that allows you to not feel alone in a world that sometimes is just really hard to get through.
It's that's why Veterans Trash Talk was started, because it kind of gave veterans a safe place to go and speak. And Lynn, this as well as I do, with women who suffered, military sexual trauma and other things. They didn't have a place to where they could go and talk and not have to worry about retribution and things like that. And I think it's sometimes that's hard to find that safe circle or that safe group of people that you can have those conversations with. But once you find that family or that group, it is very helpful. And it does, like as you said, it does help a lot, because now you're able to find out that some things you're feeling is normal. You're not odd, or you're not strange, or there's not something wrong with you physically or mentally, or you're just some disabled person over in the corner that, in a straitjacket or something like that. You find out that what you're feeling and what you're going through is very normal. And I think once you figure that out, like with my PTSD and having the nightmares and struggling with all that, once you find out that other people that's been through similar situations and they have similar, not exactly the same, but similar things go on, then you're more able to talk about it, because then you don't have to explain about it as much, because they already
Yeah,
know.
I understand.
Yeah.
I think that on top of that, that your feelings are also very valid. So yeah, we might feel like we're in that dark hole, like we can never get out. But the one thing to remember, you said that earlier, is that it's only like a moment in time. Like this too shall pass, right? It'll eventually pass. But when you're in that dark place, it's just so hard to get out of that spiral when you're spiraling down. And so I think it is very important to have that community, or the personal connections that you can reach out to. But even then, I mean, it's easier said than done, right? Like, because I go through it still to this day. Like, I go to VA appointments and all that stuff, but I refuse to open up fully, because it's hard. It's hard. But it's having that mental strength. And for you, you have your Bible and your verses, and that helps you keep going on. And so having those tools in your toolbox definitely helps.
Absolutely. I mean, I have a vision board behind me now, and it's got God in the middle. I have scripture on it. I put things that are important to me, um, for me, because it's not like it all just disappeared and I'm 100% fine. I still struggle with things on a daily basis, but I know where to go now to pick myself right back up and get going again. So, I mean, if you look in my office, you'll see 30, books, either devotionals or self-help books. My vision board. I mean, every day I read a motivational card. So I know the tools that I need now to help me move forward on a daily basis, to stay in a mindset of, I always love the word light because I know that I was in such a dark place that I try now to make sure that I stay in the light, and I feel like all of us bring light into each other's lives. And if we can help someone come out of darkness and show them light, show them that they're loved, that what they're going through, um, it's a normal life, is a struggle, and it's a journey to the end. And I think it's just about growing better as an individual. And when we can share with other people and help build them up in who they are, I feel like that's more important than anything you can do in this life, is help people see the light within them and help that shine. And the more you can do that with somebody, the more they're going to go on, to do the things they were meant to do in this life and be a positive influence for other people as well.
I say that all the time, that if you don't think you're important, and I saw this because I like watch motivational videos, right? I watch them when I'm working out and other stuff. And this one guy said, and I said this before my show, if you don't think you're not unique and special, the chances are of you being born a human being on this earth is 400 trillion to 1. So if you don't think you as a human is special, you're special, right? You just got to find out what you're special at. And so, Amy, you talked about, your struggles, you're going through your 7 years of therapy, and things are getting better in your life. I want you to talk about how you went from that, and I'm not going to say it because I want you to say it, to what you're doing both with your horse barrel racing and then the other thing that you're doing, because I think that's pretty incredible, and it's pretty empowering, I think, for women, with what you're getting ready to talk about with what you're doing, because I think that is so important. And just the confidence to have that and to go and do that. I know that for you might have been a struggle in the beginning. But it's amazing what you're doing now, and what you accomplished with it. And I know I know Monica is extremely proud of you, because she talked about that all the time, with what you went and did. And so if you wouldn't mind kind of give us on the journey of how you went from the counseling and how you got into your fitness competitions, and I'll let you explain more about that. And then we'll go into your horses and your barrel racing, because that's kind of fun.
All right. So, after COVID and everything, I kind of told my husband, I was like, I got back into reading, which was phenomenal, but I also got back into not eating as healthy, and having a glass of wine most evenings, which I realized, this probably isn't the path I want to be on right now. So it kind of came about as, I'm going to hire a trainer because I really just need someone to hold me accountable. I want to feel better, and I want to be able to ride my horses better. So that was a little bit of just, I'm going to do this to have someone hold me accountable. The thought of competing was, that I thought had been buried in the back of my mind in my 20s.
Right.
But I started working with a virtual trainer, and about 6 weeks in, after cussing in my basement trying to get through these 30 to 45-minute workouts 3 times a week, but I was like, I am not quitting this. I have come this far. I am at least going to do this. So I just kept plugging along. And the great thing about, when you have someone holding you accountable, every week you're submitting, your pictures, because I got 3 months into this thing, and she tells me, she's like, I take a group of girls to Dallas every year, you should go. And I just kind of laughed, thinking, I'm 48 years old. I can't do a fitness competition. Like, that has come and gone. That's, that's past. But as I saw my photos, and she's like, you really would be great at this. I thought, I quit following women who did that type of thing years ago, because it made me mad. And I got to thinking about why is this making me mad? Because I feel like I've learned that when we operate, we're either operating out of love or fear.
Yeah.
And I was afraid and I was mad. I was mad that I never did it. And I was afraid, thinking, I don't know that I can do this. I am 48 years old. I mean, I just got through these workouts. That's a whole nother level that I don't know. But then my whole thing this year, when I am considering, the next thing, is if you can't get it off your mind and out of your heart, then do it afraid. Just do the thing. And I'm so glad I did, because to go on and be able to compete at my age, and then I placed third in my age category, which was the 40 plus. You talk about making myself feel good about myself. And it wasn't even so much the getting up on stage, it was the whole journey to get there, and just finally to believe in my head that I can do hard things. Yeah. It's just a daily grind of doing it.
And I think that's something that, you should be very proud of, because, as people start on journeys all the time, right? They say, if you say, I want to do a 5K race, right? And Lynn, you're a runner, so you understand this. Go sign up for a run, because now you have a deadline to train and do. I've ran in 6 Army 10 milers, and I missed the sign up for this year, I thought. And so I wasn't training for it because I missed it. Well, apparently they didn't sell enough the first time, so they reopened it. So now I got into the Army 10 miler. They got to run in October, but I haven't been training for a 10 miler. So now I have to, I got 6 weeks, but I got, not that I didn't ever run, and I'll get there, but now I just have to do it quicker than what I normally do to get to the point, where I can run it. Because I just don't want to just go and run it. I could go and do the 10 miles now. I just don't want to go and do the 10 miles. I have to do what I did in the past.
Yeah.
But, they always say, if you want to do a journey, sign up for something, because that'll get you there quicker than anything.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's why I'm so glad that I signed up to do the competition, because again, it made me be accountable to something. It made me work harder at it every day, because I didn't want to fail myself. I'd failed myself so many times in my life. And after everything I've been through, I just told myself, if I sign up for this, I'm going to do the best that I can do.
What were you going to say, Lynn?
I was like, you have a point there, like, because you're already doing it, right? I mean, you're already working out. You're already like in probably one of the best shapes of your life. Like, why not just sign up for it and go that extra step? And like Cliff said, like, signing up for a race. I remember I used to run full marathons, 26.2 miles, and half marathons, 13.1, but I injured myself. But how I got to starting off with marathons, my friend was like, well, you already run 6-7 miles a day. If you can do that, you can do another 6 miles. You can do another 10 miles. It's like, it's all mental, right? And so that's all it is. It's all mental. You just got to get over that hump. Get over that hump and that fear. And yeah, I was scared when I first started running. I was like, oh, I don't think I belong in this community. But no, everyone's so welcoming in whatever community that you choose. Like, everyone's so supportive in the fitness community and the running community, whatever community you choose. Everyone's so supportive and is willing to help you along the way. And that's what helps everyone grow also.
Absolutely. I think that's something that I've learned as I've, chosen the different things. Anything that I've chosen, the support and the community has always made me realize how much as individuals we need that in life. And I learned the hard way when I was in that dark moment, that I really felt like I didn't have anyone I could talk to. And that's such a dark feeling, bad place to be, when you feel like you just feel like nobody cares about you. But if you get yourself involved in, like you said, whatever you're drawn to, I've learned that the community of like the girls I met on my fitness journey, absolutely amazing. I've made some of the dearest friends that if I'm having a bad day or whatever, just have a question or need help, I can reach out to those ladies and they are there for me and they've been through it too. So they know, and everyone I've learned has a story. No one's life is easy peasy. I used to just think, my life is just a disaster. I've screwed it up so bad. How do I even, repair this? But that's why you need a community of people and friends around you, because everyone has a story. Everyone's had a struggle in life. And when you can share that with somebody else, they can help you through your tough times. And I think that's where people get, stuck, not realizing that people do care about you and love you, but you have to make an effort to be a part of something, whatever that is.